Pask, and I want to talk to you about the difference between IQ, EQ, and SQ. So IQ, what is IQ? Well, when we have a great IQ, it's the intellectual quotient or the intellectual intelligence that we have, and everyone pretty much understands what that means. People have often heard about EQ, emotional intelligence or emotional quotient, of how much empathy and understanding and feeling that we have when we're in business. So IQ and EQ are really well spoken about terms. What I wanted to talk to you about was SQ, which is what I call the spiritual intelligence or the spiritual quotient, and how conscious you are when you're doing business. So if you think about the others, it's all about how you're able to broadcast and communicate and think with intelligence, intellectual and emotional. If we're thinking with spiritual intelligence, what does that really mean? Well, I've written down 8 key questions that you could ask yourself to see how much of the spiritual intelligence that you're able to bring into your working life. So bring them down here. Number 1, tune into your inner voice. So, when we're making business decisions or when we're having conversations, yeah, it's great to use our logical left brain, but there's also a creative, intuitive right brain. So how much are you tuning into your inner voice and listening to those deep inner instincts that are coming up? A lot of us tune out to that because we're too busy on technology or phones, or we're too busy trying to logically work out all the steps. What you'll find is a greater ability to be brilliant or to think more intelligently when we actually switch on our inner voice or our instincts or our intuition, which don't actually come from rational thinking. They come from stopping, being still, and letting what's out there in the dream weave or the invisible energy around drop into existence. Number 2 question you could ask yourself is, are you offering intelligent empathy, I guess you'd say? So there's sort of 3 levels I talk about. There's sympathy, there's empathy, and there's compassion. So when we're looking at a business issue or we're working with someone, particularly a person, a human in business, we can feel sorry for them if they have a problem, which is more the sympathy route. We can feel empathy. People talk about, have you got a level of empathy, which is I feel sorry with you, or I share your problem with you, or I empathize. Or you can show compassion. And to me, sympathy and empathy are a little bit like a judgment. I'm feeling hardly done by for you or with you. To me, that means you stay connected energetically to the problem. If you want to step outside of it and above it and to think more creatively and more intuitively, you need to access compassion. So what is compassion? Compassion says, I see your problem, I hold you with consideration and love and care, but I don't take it on as mine, because if I don't take it on as mine, I can hold this objectively and solve the problem from a greater level of consciousness. So compassion is the way to go if we're talking about SQ, spiritual intelligence. Number 3 is, do you realize that your issues with other people are actually your own issue with yourself? So we call them shadows. When we see a shadow in someone else, we can recognize someone else has a problem or an issue or an irritation that we don't enjoy or like. But if we're personally irritated, so if we have what we call shenpa, it's a Buddhist term for like a sizzle or an irritation, and we're personally irritated by someone, that means that they're projecting or showing us, or even more better, great terminology, they're reflecting something back at us that we have in ourselves. So if you can realize that your irritations with your colleagues or people around you actually are showing you something that's not resonant within yourself, that's an intelligent thing spiritually to figure out. Question number 4, is your career or the job that you're choosing to do in line with your soul signature or your life purpose or your soul frequency? So that's a big question, but I have sort of 4 categories around that. You can have a job, you can have a career, you can have a vocation, or you can have a life calling or a life purpose. And that's the 4th level we want to get to. What is my higher calling? What is out there that I can do as a job, but it's really actually something deeply that's intrinsically feeding me? Because when you crack that, you're so in line, you're so fluid with what you're doing that nothing can stop you from going forward. Question number 5, are you thinking beyond just yourself when you're doing business and doing your higher calling? Are you thinking beyond just your immediate satisfaction? Because spiritually being intelligent means that you're looking at how you're impacting the greater world. How am I impacting the tribe, the community, the group, the company? And going beyond that, how am I impacting the country or the earth or the environment or all the things around me that sustain me? How am I impacting that? So thinking spiritually in business means thinking beyond yourself, which is actually what they consider contribution, or thinking beyond you is one of the highest forms of happiness. Question number 6, do you know that your business or your career has a spirit? And what I mean by that is it's alive. There's energy around your career or your business, whether you own a company or a business, or whether you're working for a business, someone else's. There is an energy and a spirit to your career. And it has thoughts and it has feelings that you've put into it, you've intended. So if you understand that there's a metaphysical energy behind the physical structure that is your business, you know how to talk to it, you know how to shift it, you know how to make changes, and you know how to recreate or intend changes to move forward. That's brilliance. And when you crack that one, that's quite incredible. Number 7, we've got 2 to go. Do you realize that the language that you use every day impacts your success? So how you talk, how you convey, how you tell your own story, the way that you use language about yourself to others or about business or career actually will change the way and the reality of how you operate. So if you're constantly saying, and this is one of my flaws, I'm so busy, or I'm too busy, or I haven't got any time, guess what? You'll never have any time, because you're talking yourself into that reality. Or if people are saying thank you and you're saying no problem, or don't worry about it, you're saying, oh, I'm not valuable. Yeah, don't worry, it's no problem for me to do that. Well, actually it is. It's a contribution that you're making with them, and the best response is to say you're welcome and endorse and validate what you've done. So it's really important to think about the language you use to describe yourself, how you respond, and how you work with other people. And lastly, number 8, thanks for staying to the end. Is your business life in line with your deep inner values? So, and what I mean by that is your deep values are things that are so important to you that by sacrificing them feels like a massive blow to self, or a self-sacrifice. So if your career, whether you're working for yourself or someone else, is actually sacrificing or impinging on your core values that are important to you as a person, then that's not spiritually conscious. That's actually every day showing up to a job that's actually not you. And over time, that disintegrates your ability to be centered and in flow and successful and happy. So the 8 questions I'd ask, whether you've got your spiritual quotient up to scratch. Love you to have a think about those things for yourself. I've actually designed a program, a retreat and a program called Shaman in the Boardroom, which really helps you to think about how you're bringing your spiritual intelligence or your intuitive intelligence into your workspace and into your business. Because once you do that, you're operating at full capacity. You're using your left logical organizational brain and your right creative, intuitive, spiritual brain into their full power. And when you have those 2 things operating together, guess what? You can take off. Thanks for watching this video.